Have you noticed how the games that we grew up with had an ending? Like you beat the final boss, the credits rolled and you felt this clean sort of satisfaction. You'd get up, you'd stretch, maybe go outside, right? The story was over and you'd won. Now look around. Nothing ends anymore. The games we play today don't have the final boss, right? They don't have the final level. They just have updates. They don't give you closure. They give you progress bars, right? We've traded finish lines for infinite loops, and you might think that that's just gaming, but it really isn't, right? That same formula, that infinite incremental progression, is the blueprint of the modern world. Everything you do today is designed to keep you playing forever. The swiping, the scrolling, the chasing, and all of it, the grinding, the work, none of it ends. Right? See, back then, the world, it rewarded completion. You worked, you achieved, and you rested. Now it rewards continuation. Every system, right? Dating, social media, self-improvement, even your career, it's just one massive incremental game. You level up, but you never arrive at the end, right? You get a little dopamine and then you start again, get a little more and you start again. That's the new natural order. And the truth is there, right? The modern world doesn't want you fulfilled. It wants you engaged, because fulfilled people stop consuming, right? Engaged people, well, they're sticking around, you know what I'm saying? So dopamine isn't the molecule of pleasure like you've been told. Let's make that clear. It is the molecule of pursuit and drive. It drives desire, not satisfaction. And the brain is meant to cycle, okay? It's meant to cycle through three things: effort, reward, and recovery. But what happens when the world just cuts out the recovery part, right? When everything you touch is optimized to keep that chase alive, your baseline collapses. It's gone. You don't feel excitement. You just feel craving. All that dopamine, that craving, that drive, right? But not in a good way. You don't feel satisfaction, just sort of relief, that temporary relief. That's why you feel so damn empty after scrolling and gaming or just even improving yourself. You're trapped in that same loop, right? You think you're advancing, but you're really just resetting that bar one notch higher every single day. And that is dopamine maxing, essentially, the invisible addiction that every young man has now. And it's everywhere, right? Take dating, for example, right? It's no longer about finding someone you love. It is about collecting micro validations. Okay? Every swipe is a coin flip of dopamine. You're not building a connection, all right? You're farming feedback loops here. You don't pursue a person, you're pursuing potential, and that potential is infinite, which means you'll never stop looking. Then there's social media, right? Infinite scroll, infinite novelty. I don't know how to say anything there. You already know, right? Infinite comparison. You don't watch a video and leave. You slide through hundreds, one after another. Your brain stops distinguishing between meaningful input and just bullshit noise. It's just chasing one more spark, one more hit of pleasure. Even self-improvement, the thing that's supposed to save you, has become another incremental trap. You're not trying to become better. You're trying to look like you're becoming better. Progress now becomes performative, and grind harder and optimize your routine, track your habits. All that's great, but when's the last time you actually rested, right? When's the last time you actually said, I've done enough today? You don't, because there's literally no end condition here. You're not chasing growth, you're just chasing momentum. See how it all connects? The world has turned your biology into a business model, all right? And because of that, life has lost contrast. And contrast is what gives meaning. Right? Think about it like this. Pain defines pleasure, right? Effort defines reward. If everything is constant, no contrast, then, nothing is meaningful. You don't have highs anymore because you've erased the lows. So now you're just stuck in a perpetual low, right? You've conditioned your brain to expect constant reward, which means you're never satisfied. You're overstimulated and underfulfilled. That's why just being, in a meditative, peaceful state feels so boring. That's why love feels so slow and empty. That's why even victory in any regard of life just feels so hollow. The modern world has turned meaning into maintenance, and you don't even notice it because you were just born into it. Infinite games don't reward mastery. They reward continuation. The goal isn't to win or to get better, it's to keep you playing. And once you internalize that, your brain starts treating everything like a game that you just can't win. You start seeing life like an entire feed, right? Who's above me? Who's below me? Did I get enough likes, enough matches, enough validation today? You start living in a mental economy of just infinite comparison. And the tragic part of all this is that when you can't win at something, you lose the reason to try. So most people, they just kind of coast. They scroll, they half try, they live halfway, they half-ass things because the game is rigged, right? It's not the rules of existence have completely changed, quite literally. You used to live in a world where effort had a payoff, right? Now you live in a world where effort only leads to more effort. And somewhere deep down, your brain does know this. And that's why you feel this existential dread, this sort of hollowness, this sense that no matter what you do, it'll never be enough. Because biologically, your entire purpose is to complete something, right? To finish that hunt, to win the game, to find a mate, to reproduce. The motivation, all that built up dopamine, it has to lead to something. The fucking primal humans, when they was going out to go hunt that big ass animal, right? The dopamine was building up, the motivation was building up. And after the fact, the dopamine baseline would sort of drop a little bit. You would achieve that high, and you would feel the contentment, the satisfaction that you completed that task, right? But in an infinite world, there is no completion. You never get to rest. So your brain interprets that as failure to fulfill your purpose, right? You don't get that's a problem. You don't get positive reinforcements after doing work. That's why doing work after doing more work feels so demotivating today, because there's no reward at the end of it. That is literally depression in its purest form. Do you understand this, dude? Do you see what the problem is? It's your biology realizing that it's been tricked. And if you see it especially in dating, right? You're told just keep swiping and swiping through on Tinder, just keep improving yourself, just make more money, keep improving yourself and work and grind and work on yourself. You will become better and more desirable to women. But no one tells you that your brain can't emotionally comprehend infinity, right? It's literally infinity. Your brain can't comprehend it. It needs closure. It needs to win. And when you live in a loop that never ends, you start feeling like your genes are being selected out. You're stuck in this constant like feedback loop of I'm not good enough. That's why rejection feels so shit. It's not just heartbreak. It's your biology mourning its own irrelevance. Think about that. It's your biology mourning its own irrelevance. You think you're sad because she ghosted you. No, you're sad because a 300,000-year-old instinct thinks you failed the evolutionary test and now you are not worth it to live. And maybe that's the most honest way to describe this era, right? We're living through a psychological extinction event. COVID may have been the trigger, right? The isolation, the disconnection, the collapse of real world face-to-face interaction. People forgot how to talk, how to flirt, how to connect. And those who never recovered, those who just stayed stuck behind the screens and stayed inside, might just be the ones whose genes don't make it forward. The thing that no one's going to tell you is that adaptation, it doesn't mean to surrender. It doesn't mean to succumb. It means awareness, right? You can't fight an invisible enemy. You can't fight something you don't know. You have to see it and understand it first. And once you do, well, the game changes for you. You stop being the little player and you start being the sort of developer in a way. You start chasing infinite loops and, well, you start creating finite missions. Goals that actually end. Go to the gym not to grind forever, but to build a body that you respect. Learn skills not to compete endlessly, but to complete a craft and master a craft that you really feel passionate about. Talk to women not to just rack up numbers and go in your hoe phase and just fuck every girl you can find, but to connect and choose the right woman. End the fucking game, but end this damn hookup culture type of game. Because when you create closure, you're going to create meaning in your life. When you define enough, you become free. This is how you create meaning and purpose and fulfillment in your life. You restore contrast. And again, contrast is what brings your soul back online, right? It's not about deleting social media or going on monk mode or quitting everything. It's just about reintroducing finality into your life. Okay, so, if your entire existence is one long doom scroll session, then peace will always feel out of reach. It'll always feel like failure even. So design days for yourself that end, right? Design tasks that finish. Design moments that actually mean something to you. That's how you reclaim your dopamine. That's how you reclaim your peace, and that's how you win again. It all ties in together, man. The world doesn't want you to stop playing, but that's exactly why you must stop playing. Because once you do stop chasing endless and infinite stimulation and validation, you'll realize something terrifying but also beautiful at the same time. The real world still ends. Hey, the sun still sets, man. The story still ends. It still closes. And, well, that's what makes it worth living. Don't let your life become an infinite game, man. All right, remember this. Winning used to mean reaching the end. Now, winning means having the courage to end it yourself.